Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. Wherever you are on this amazing planet. I'm Ariel.
I'm Shya.
Welcome to being here.
Yes.
War.
What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing. Doesn't mean we don't go to war regularly in our thoughts. We're going to investigate this whole subject today. And we invite you to listen.
You mean this subject of having a mind that complains and thinks that how life is showing up
is
wrong and should be different?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you noticed? Shya and I, we
finish
each other's sentences and we simul-speak and all that good stuff. So
right.
You can aggravate yourself with it.
Or you can enjoy it. It's like listening to a symphony.
What am I, the cymbals? I don't know. Yes, listening. I was thinking about that. How
What's that?
Listening is such an incredible tool to bring yourself to peace.
Yes, and it is also an incredible tool to create peace in your environment.
So true.
Because if you truly listen to your partner, they're not left with residual regrets, resentments, thoughts that should have been different.
Your partner is whoever you happen to be standing in front of in any given moment. So it's not
and
just
it could even
your
be
love
you.
partner. Yes, it's you, particularly if you're looking in the mirror. We were speaking with a young woman this morning and she was pretty stirred up. And part of it was that she had been withholding her truth from herself until it built to such a crescendo, speaking in terms of an orchestra or symphony, that by the time she communicated it to her partner, there was just a lot of energy behind it. So part of that war happens when you're fighting with yourself over your truth. So I like what you said, Shya, that listening to yourself is a very good place to start. How about we take our first guest?
Okay.
All right, Gaurav, welcome to being here. Tell people where you are zooming in from, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm zooming in from Winnipeg. My name is Gaurav.
It's so nice to have you with us.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
It's
pleasant for me.
It's good.
It's what, friend?
Pleasant.
It's interesting, Gaurav. You come from a very spiritual culture. The Indian culture is very spiritual. People go from the United States to India to try to find enlightenment. I mean, I happen to be in the United States. That's why I said that. People come from Canada to India to try to find enlightenment.
From Europe and the UK, yes.
Right.
All over.
And I feel that the culture of India is shifting to a more European set of values where more is better and getting more stuff is better than being spiritual. So I think this idea of living your life directly in the current moment is a very spiritual endeavor. It's not what Madison Avenue would advertise, but at the same time, it allows you to experience being alive, as opposed to listening to that voice that's been passed on to you generation from generation to generation, that complains that what you have is not enough.
You're nodding, right?
Yeah.
You have to use your words, my friend.
Yeah, that's true, actually. The new generation like me, I prefer myself to say that. We are so much attracted to the Western culture that we want to have the everything. So so to relate with the topic, I would say that we always have the war with ourselves that we want to get more and more, and sometimes we just lost the ground. So for me personally, I have more conflicts with myself that I'm not doing that much good. I'm not doing like enough for my life. I have the self conflicts. So I always call to my parents to talk with them, and I feel so much grounded, which makes me feel that okay, where I am, I'm at the best place. I'm at the good times. So my parents still have that roots to have the patience for everything, but the new generation like me, we always want to get more and more and to be more westernized uh, within ourselves. So you are true, Shaya, while speaking that.
I want to point out something that you underestimate about yourself, though, Gaurav. Because when we talk about war, one of the first wars is not just with ourselves. It's like we start being at war with our parents in order to prove our independence or our individuality.
Self-identity.
In that you can call your parents to get grounded, you underestimate how incredible that is, because there's so many people who would not allow that for themselves, or if they do, it's not till much later in life when they finally realize that their parents are people too and have something to offer. So I find that quite inspiring that you find your parents inspirational force in your life.
Yeah, that's true. They are actually, um, yeah, like Um, I always speak my with my wife, Srishti, and she also feels like the same. Like we try to call them at least once a day because they are alone at back home India, and they love to talk with us, and we also love to talk with them. Yeah, that is always our beautiful moment for the day. We are excited to talk with them, and they're also excited always to talk with us. And
That's great. See, and you say that the younger generation of people in India strive to have more and get what apparently the Western uh, culture has to offer. Uh, but having a connection with your family, with your parents, where you hold them in high esteem, holds you in high esteem. See, people often are at war with their parents as a way of identifying themselves, giving themselves something to resist so they're not like that. And I am very much in admiration of your relationship with your parents. I think that's a very, very good thing because you see, your parents are doing everything they can to support you, you know, and they support you being in Canada. They didn't say
yeah,
stay
that's true.
home,
Mhm.
but
They gave you wings.
that's right.
Mm.
This is what my father always say. My mother is a little like the emotional, and this is what my father say to my mom, like always, that we as a childrens, they are like the birds. So we want the birds to let them fly. So we can't hold them, but my father say to my mom that we want our childrens to fly and spread the wings to the sky. So so like my mother get like get motivated with this thing. So yeah.
Sweet. Wait, I know you and Shristi are expecting a child. When is your child due?
So as for the doctors, we're expecting in the November, the starting of the November.
Sweet.
You know, we should talk about listening
Yes.
because I realize that you're asking Rob questions about his family, and listeners to this show or podcast uh, may think, well, I'm not really interested in family or his family. And but you see, we disregard so much of our current moment when it doesn't fit our program of what's going to get us ahead in the world or what we think is important. See, true listening involves listening to what is going on in your life, in the current moment of your life. So if you're listening to this podcast, in this moment of your life, Ariel is asking Gaurav, or was asking Gaurav, about his the birth of his upcoming child. You know,
I
it's
think there's a whole other swath of people who are interested, but then skip off to think about their parents, whether they have kids. It's so easy to leave and try to apply things to you. Oh, do I hold my
yeah.
parents in high esteem? Do my kids hold me in high esteem? Like you're not actually staying here as a through line. You skip off to try and apply, to compare,
And
rather than just here.
you know, if you just get engaged with what's happening in your life in the current moment, which means if you're on listening to this podcast, you're actually here listening to hear what's being said rather than taking notes about it, rather than thinking about it, but letting what's being said come into you. Because most of the time we spend our time in our thoughts about what was, because the moment keeps passing, you see, rather than being with what is and bringing our awareness and attention to what's going on in the current moment.
So Gaurav talks about he and his wife call their parents once a day, and it's their bright spot.
Right.
It's something they're delighted to do. That has already created a possibility for those of us or those of you who have a different culture in your family. And then once you have the reality, your mind wants to get back into control. And it's now going to give you directives. I should do more of that. Or maybe I should call my parents today. Or it's going to talk to you. That's the mind's job. You have the possibility to include that chatter and keep bringing yourself here and bringing yourself here.
Well, if you're really here, that chatter doesn't jump in, but you have to train yourself to strengthen that muscle of listening and being present in the moment, because life is full of distractions, and we've been raised in an environment where people think about everything rather than allow themselves to feel and experience what's going on in current time. So, you know, it isn't like we've created our experience. It's like we are given the experience as young children, you know, from birth to 6 years of age. Our minds are in a theta brainwave state where they absorb the culture that we are part of so that we can fit in. And then there's this conversation that you listen to from then on that keeps telling you how to be rather than you know how to be if you're here. You know, you become appropriate to the current moment rather than constantly second guess yourself about how you're going about your life.
Now, I know the listeners can't see Shya nor me nor Gaurav, but it's really a treat to watch you listening, Gaurav. Now, I have a question for you. Did you have any questions or anything else in particular that you came to share today? I'm curious.
Um, yes, but thank you so much. Like when I heard this topic about the war, I always have the question that I always have dinner wars with me. If I'm expecting a baby, I always think about, will I be a good parent? Will I match my parenting as I was grown up? I always have the war for the job. Is I'm doing the good job or not? I'm always having the war with my wife. Is I'm a good husband or not? I'm always thinking in my mind that is I'm a good personality to fit in the roles which I am into, like always and always. Like how can I handle that on the
Let me
daily
short
basis?
circuit this. The only kind of person that worries about whether or not they're being a good person is a good person. Bad people don't worry about those things.
And of
So you answer your own question.
And of course you're worried about those things because you have a mind, but you cannot answer that from inside your own system. It really is about being here, and you will not be the same as your parents. You will be you. Your child will require you being you.
In the environment that your child is growing up in, because you're now in Winnipeg, Canada, and it's not warm like India.
You know, one of the things I love is there is a big difference between change and transformation. And in change, you have the dichotomies, the good, bad, right, wrong, better, worse, getting somewhere, improvement, comparison. And we often hear the flip side of the coin, like, I don't want to be like my parents. The other side of the coin is, I hope I am like my parents. That's all comparison. It's all mind-based. It's all change. In transformation, it's about getting interested in what is and seeing how you're operating right now, not in comparison to what you know and who you were or who you want to be, but about being here. I sense a theme. It's
Yes.
about being here.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, thank you very much for
You're
that.
Oh, you're
welcome
very
very
welcome.
much.
Thank you for joining us.
Such a treat having you here today.
Yes, indeed.
Awesome.
Oh, and I want to thank you for listening to your boss who introduced you to us, because he's a very wise man, even though he doesn't know it all the time.
At least not the depth of it.
Right.
I guess he's normal.
But I'm sure you saw the difference in him between him and most other people.
Yeah, that's true. I had a lot difference. Yeah.
So I'm sure that is an inspiration for him that you listened to what he had to say and you gave this a shot and you're winning with it. That's pretty awesome.
Yes.
So thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Hey, you want to hear about transformation?
Mhm.
We've got one of our listeners about to tell you about what's happened in their life out of listening to being here.
This is Sandy in Prague. And what I love about the seminars with Ariel and Shya is that my life has just become so much easier. And I've become so much more proactive in my life. I used to be the person who would speak last, if at all. And now I tend, something comes up, I say it, and it's fun, and I don't hesitate. And I love that.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shya's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
This Saturday and next Monday, we have Living Made Easy 2-hour virtual seminars, and you're invited. If you happen to be listening to this episode in the archives, you can just go to transformationmadeeasy.com and see what's upcoming. And if you're listening to it live, you can go to transformationmadeeasy.com and register for the upcoming seminars. We also have a virtual weekend coming up, Transformational Time and Project Management. It's Saturday and Sunday, the 26th and 27th of September. I love this course. I always effortlessly find myself accomplishing things in a timely manner. Anytime this seminar rolls around, it becomes a framework for productivity.
Well, when you talk about it, I think about that little bench I made for the back deck of our house that came together as a discovery of how to build something without pre-planning it to the degree that it was a completed project. In other words, the project itself gave me information about how to do it rather than my coming with an idea that was fully formed.
Yeah. Speaking of war or peace, I mentioned to Shya, because we have a really beautiful fire pit that we invested in a number of years ago, and it's rustic and lovely, and we like sitting out.
It's also made out of copper, so after you build a fire in it, it has this patina on the outside, like a raku kind of pottery. It's very cool.
And when we sit out there, I really love it when I can put my feet up. And last year, Shya trimmed some tree stumps and put them out there, and they were really fun, except for they kind of degraded over the years, so we got rid of them. And I said, I really love a bench. And Shya was telling me yesterday how the wood suggested the project, like it told him what to do. And from my mentioning it to completion was less than a week. And it's beautiful. It is so beautiful. And so anyway, I'm inviting you to Transformational Time and Project Management.
It's not about A, B, and C priorities. It's not about managing the way you think. It's transformational.
It's all about you.
And it's all about the current moment and how you operate in the current moment of your life.
We are coming to Europe at the end of October. We're doing 2 courses and a live evening in Hamburg, Germany. Thursday, October 29th, Improv Your Way to the Moment. We've invited our good friend and very, very talented acting teacher and actor, Andy Schneeflock, to lead that course with me with special guest, Shya Kane. And then Magical Relationships, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, October 30th through November 1st. You are invited. Weekend seminars create the prerequisite to join us in Costa Rica in 2027. You can find out more about any of our seminars, sign up for our newsletter, get our amazing blogs and videos at transformationmadeeasy.com. Let's take our next guest.
Yes.
Anina, welcome to being here. Where are you
Hello.
zooming in
Hello.
from? Hi.
I'm Anina. I'm zooming in from Thun, Switzerland. And I would, before we may talk about war, I would like to talk about the Transformational Time and Project Management Seminar,
Okay.
because I'm registered for this one. And not last week, but the week before, I prepared my apartment to leave it to my home exchange partners. I do home exchange holidays, and then I need to prepare my bed and so put my stuff away. And it's never been easier than this year. It was so amazing. When they came, I was all done and all ready for them. It was such a blessing.
So when you do I've heard of home exchange, not here in the States. I've heard you guys, some of our friends speak about it. So when they come there, do you go then to their home at the same time, or how does it work?
In current times with internet, there are many more possibilities than it used to be when I was a teenager and my parents did it, where you in February got the catalog and just browsed through the catalog and looked if someone with a similar family size wanted to change at similar times to a similar kind of home and to a place where you would like to go, and then you'd arrange by phone. These days, it's an internet portal, and there are 3 possibilities. Either you can do like in the old ways, at the same time swap homes, or you can do a direct swap, but not at the same time. So they come and see me over national holiday like today, and I go and see their place over some of their holiday when they are away. Or there is an exchange against guest points. So a certain number of guest points is allotted to every kind of apartment or house, and then you just kind of pay those guest points. And this past exchange was an exchange against guest points. So the Spanish people, the Spanish family came to my place against their guest points, and I went with my guest points to a place called Brick, just in the next canton.
How fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for the explanation. I hope
Sure.
people allow themselves to listen. I find it fascinating to learn new things every day.
I've never heard of that before, so it was very new to me.
And you explained it very, very well. Thank you so much. I can actually picture you and your parents going through catalogs and picking up the phone and trying to make arrangements.
Yeah,
You know,
I have very vivid memories of my mom calling people. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, it's very funny these days. I know Gaurav was talking also about how people his generation, want more and more and more. I think sometimes we forget when we do the internet portals how we used to actually talk to people on the phone.
Yep.
So even our friends, sometimes we never think to just pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Anina, how you doing today?" It's like we text or WhatsApp or email.
Yes. Yes, or we ask by text if it's a good time to call.
Yeah, I don't mind that though. That's kind of,
Yeah.
I mean, I like when I spontaneously get calls, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah. I find this very respectful also, or respecting. Yeah. And to war.
War.
I've been around you for nearly 20 years now, and I've gotten sensitive to all kinds of wars that might not be obvious as wars. For instance, between men and women. You know, very, very often you get jokes that are actually not funny, but only work on that idea, on that generally, seemingly accepted idea that there is a war between men and women.
How about the war
Women.
between women and men?
And women, yeah,
No,
yeah,
not women and women, women and men.
yeah,
I find it even in the phrasing of your understanding or you're seeing the war between, quote, men and women, you're disregarding the war between women and men. You've actually revealed your side in the war because it's clearly in your perspective between men and women, not that perhaps women instigate it.
yeah, yeah.
See, it's
I
easy.
see that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's easier for you to hear that from Ariel than from
I'm
me.
such a traitor.
Yes, she is.
I love you for that, among all other things.
Well,
Thank you.
look, see, Anina, either you're going to run your life or the culture that you come from, the conversation that you listen to in your thoughts is going to run your life.
Or the resistance to that culture.
Yeah.
And then there's the moment where you look and you see, oh, I just said something that was unkind, or oh, they just said something that was unkind. Like it may be part of the war structure, but it's looking and seeing.
Well, the question is, are you going to defuse the war or support its going on and forward?
Yeah, that's the question.
It is.
Yeah, yeah,
As soon as you see that you are reactivated by something somebody says, now you have a choice whether to follow your initial impulse to strike back and be right, that they're wrong,
mm-hmm.
just include their point of view as their point of view.
Yes,
This whole thing of prejudice is passed on generation to generation. Max Planck, is it?
Mhm.
Planck?
Mhm.
He was a German physicist.
yes,
He said that the only way you get rid of prejudice is by allowing the people that have it to die. Maybe the next generation will
We'll
be
think
less
differently.
prejudiced, right?
yeah, yeah,
You know, fighting with people to prove yourself and your point of view right does not ever work,
mm-hmm.
because the more you try to prove them wrong, they will resist you and you're stuck in a war.
I think
Allowing people to be the way they are allows you to be the way you can be.
but it only is possible if you're willing to realize that your irritation is yours. It's not caused by outside circumstances. Outside circumstances can trigger or spark that which lives within you,
yeah.
but it doesn't cause it. And most people want to blame something or someone for their
upset.
disturbance.
Yes.
Yes, yes,
See,
yes,
See, in a relationship, the other person doesn't cause you to get angry. They may support you in getting in touch with your anger, your already existent anger, and you want to blame
yes,
them and say, well, they made me angry, they made me upset. But in fact, the upset is yours.
yeah, yeah. So that's one thing I also learned from you is that if I hear something and I resist it, it gets annoyed. I get annoyed with it. And if I don't resist it, it's just information.
That's right.
Yeah.
Words
And
are just words
yeah.
until you attach meaning and then blame somebody for your own response.
Mhm.
But you see, that's the thing. Self-awareness is really not about getting better. It's about getting here.
Yes.
See, it's about getting into the current moment of your life where your experience lives rather than your thoughts or your causes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once you get lost in a cause, you're lost.
Yeah.
That's why people go to war for
Yeah.
their thoughts. For they say that the people who don't agree with their thoughts are the enemy, rather than
Yes.
people are allowed to have the thoughts they have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, of course, we're very fortunate in the societies we currently live in that allow us to have our alternate thoughts or our opinions or our lifestyles. I know that there are cultures where are very suppressive, but if you're listening to this podcast, that's very likely not you. So you can find exceptions to what Shya says, or you can hear it and look at your reality, not the hypothetical of if I lived in Iran or if I lived in where there are significant wars against different cultures. You have to start with you, the internal fight that each of us have. It's so much easier to focus on world politics rather than look at you, yourself, the little minutia that you disturb yourself
Well, you
with.
said something. You said this, the fight that all of us have. But you know something? That fight can dissolve. That fight doesn't have to be there. When you start bringing awareness to your life, awareness is a non-judgmental seeing of what is. It's not about changing anything or fixing anything. It's about becoming aware, seeing what is non-judgmentally allows things to complete themselves. So the war can end when you realize that another's point of view is their point of view. And there's nothing wrong with them having a point of view that's different than yours.
And Anina already started to talk about the three principles of instantaneous transformation, and Shya is kind of summing it up with the third principle. She's already noticed that when she resists somebody,
That's the first principle.
she
What you
gets annoyed.
resist persists, grows stronger, and dominates your life.
And it dominates your reality of life in that moment. Because if somebody says something that Anina or any of us disagree with, suddenly annoyance happens, and then there's a whole conversation about how they're wrong and it shouldn't be that way.
And they caused you to be upset.
And
Yes.
yes, and it happens. People, you have when you're upset, you are like on a scanner for something to be the reason, and you point to that and say, you're the one who made me upset.
That's right.
Second principle, life shows up exactly as it does in any given moment, or you can only be exactly as you are. No two things can occupy you at the same time. So if you're upset, you're going to be looking for upset everywhere. You can only be exactly as you are in any given moment. But third principle,
anything you see without judging can complete itself in an instant.
So somebody says something, automatically there's like, woof. And then you notice you had that automatic reaction if you simply notice it without judging it.
Without making yourself wrong or right, but just notice it, it can complete itself.
I love that, wrong or right, because it's like, well, I have the right to be irritated. He or she said something offensive. It's like, if you just notice without adding anything to it or against it, life becomes open again.
Heaven or hell, it's your choice. Fight with it, it's hellacious.
You know, I have to think when people listen to this, it's so easy to want to make a declaration. Well, I'm for.
So for the future, I will, rather than let's see how it shows up
Moment
to
by moment.
I love that.
Which that do you love?
That I don't have to make a declaration.
Well, if you make a declaration, you're setting yourself up for the opposite of what you say you want.
Yes.
Because you're doing two things. One, you're saying how you were in the past was somehow wrong or faulty or incomplete. And then you're resisting alternatives in the future because you've now declared your path or the way you should be, a better you should be. You've already popped yourself into change, and anything you resist, you create. I will never be unkind to myself again. End of story.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks
for joining us.
Joining us today. And we're so honored that you have found value and have become more and more you, and then also have stepped into this framework, for instance, to see what you have to offer also. We're just honored you're part of our life, Anina.
Thank you. It's my honor.
Well, if you enjoyed this podcast, share it with your friends. I love it because I think sometimes people hear war and they suddenly go to the huge rather than looking at oneself. And I found this a very intimate conversation.
World peace happens in you first. So if you want world peace, discover how to be peaceful in yourself so that your world is not a reflection of the war you live.
Now, I imagine each of us have had experiences of being around somebody where we suddenly drop into feeling at peace with ourselves. Gaurav has it regularly with his parents. You can be that for you and for your environment just by being you. If you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, I really recommend it. There are people like Anina and Shya and I who write blogs, people who do videos with us. It's quite wonderful. You can find all our courses, the newsletter sign-up link at transformationmadeeasy.com. Next week's episode, when in doubt,
look out.
Look out. We'll be back next week.
So come on back.
And don't miss
being here.